Thanks, Matt.
Thank you, Gordon. So like you said, I want to leave you with a sort of brief a summary of what we believe is the importance of public information in promoting sustainable transportation and transportation change, and also the importance of kind of reaching the entire population, and also to talk about some recent changes in technology that people might not be aware of yet that I think have a lot of real promise for achieving better inclusion and accessibility to all. So this is an example of TransitScreen. This is in a regular building. I think it's a university building or something. In Boston, TransitScreens, you find them in Cambridge public buildings, you find them in universities, you find them in a lot of residential apartment buildings and commercial buildings as well. And what we show is we show real-time information about departures for the T, buses, commuter rail, Amtrak, Uber, Lyft, car share, Zipcar, bike share, Hubway, and we're starting to add autonomous vehicles in certain locations where we're working with companies that are in the space. And the basic value here is that public information about transportation is necessary to be able to use it efficiently, and everyone deserves to have information, whether they're young or old or smartphone savvy, not particularly smartphone savvy, rich, poor, have a data plan, don't have a data plan. And beyond that, by putting information in public, you can achieve greater awareness and greater behavior change. And so public information at basic level is a way of serving the public. It's a smart city solution, but not in the kind of vague, abstract smart cities kind of way, but like it's actually a solution that makes citizens of smart cities and visitors and tourists and everyone smarter. Like that's what a smart city ought to be. And we do this at low or virtually no cost to cities. TransitScreen over the last 3 years or so has built a larger network of real-time connected transportation displays than anyone other than a couple of transit agencies. And we've done this all at no cost to the public sector because we realize that a lot of people have a stake in making information available in public spaces. In particular, a lot of real estate owners, want to have to show how you can get around from where you live or where you work. Even bars want to help you get home at night safely after you've been drinking. And of course, we do work with the public sector. Cambridge, Jen and Michael here have been clients of ours, and we work in the Bay Area as well with the transit agency there, and then with advertising companies to put it on the street. So there are a lot of different people who have a stake in the transportation system, and we've managed to find ways to work with all of them. But the bottom line is, as Secretary Pollack said, transit agencies aren't very good at marketing, and they are good at operations sometimes, but in general, they don't do as much as they can to fill trains. And we provide a way of using information to do that. So one of the problems with public information, and this is a problem for any civic government agency, is that information is often displayed visually and is not very accessible to blind and visually impaired people. So in this case, this is a DC bus shelter. The first problem is you have to find the bus shelter if you're blind or visually impaired. The next thing is you have to find where the talk box is. I've helpfully highlighted it here, but a lot of them don't actually have talk boxes, and believe it or not, and this is kind of ironic, there is no standard that I'm aware of for the placement of these things, so you don't necessarily know where to go to actually push the button. Then you have to keep pushing the button, and it just reads a long string of it. So it's not very good for providing information. And it's also single-purpose hardware. Do we know if anyone's checking it, inspecting it? Maybe, and maybe not. It's not getting used that often. So there are a lot of problems with the way that it is currently done. And there's a new Internet of Things technology that is called beacons. And in case you haven't heard of beacons, I put a picture of a beacon that you might be more familiar with here in Boston, Beacon Street. But they're very small devices that are usually about this size. And what they do is they broadcast Bluetooth, just like your phone uses. And what that does is it allows your smartphone to figure out exactly where it is in a very micro sense, like within a few feet, typically, as opposed to your GPS. So that becomes a useful tool for solving public information problems, because you can imagine that here's a connected smart bus shelter that we would power. it's receiving information about the bus departures from a cloud server, but there's also a little beacon here, much smaller than this, just right behind the screen. And what it does is it broadcasts this location to your phone so that when you pull up your phone, you can actually just get exactly the same information as on the screen, no matter where you're sitting. So you could be behind the shelter, you could be in a building lobby, and it doesn't matter if you're actually sighted or if you're blind, because if you can pull it up on a smartphone, there are these great screen reader programs, VoiceOver, TalkBack, that you may or may not have heard of, that allow you to interact with it and just browse all the information as if you were sighted, but just browse it with your finger and get it all read out to you. So it provides a much better experience for people who are blind and visually impaired, and it also provides additional capabilities for people who are not blind and visually impaired. So even sighted people can benefit from having the information because you don't have to be within eyesight of the screen to actually get the public information. So wanted to mention that this is possible because we're using technologies from the World Wide Web, and the web has always been designed for its accessibility, at least for a very long time. And so it's compatible natively with screen readers, and it allows you to zoom if you have low vision, and it's designed to be more legible. And so these kinds of universal designs, practice of design that makes things better for people regardless of whether they have a disability or not, are really something that's possible using modern web technologies. So we've begun a pilot up here in Boston. So I've been up here a couple times recently, and going to continue to work in the Cambridge area specifically. And what we've done is we've installed these beacons at our public transit screen locations in Cambridge in a variety of public buildings, hospital, library, city buildings, and so on. And this is something where we're now testing it. We've been working with a couple of focus groups, and also hoping to get feedback from the community before sort of rolling it out at a much larger scale. Now, the technology that we're using specifically for this is one that's called the physical web. And it's a new kind of way of enabling beacons to use the same HTML content. And if you talk to the people at Google who created this, one of the things that they've really sort of focused on is enabling what they call micro interactions. So you're always interacting with your public environment as you sort of move through the city. But when you're in a certain location, there's a sign, or it could be a digital sign, or it could be an analog sign, you should be able to get information from it just that's contextual right where you are. And if you go to a restaurant, it should pull up a menu. And if you go to a bus shelter, it should pull up the departure times and so on. And so Bluetooth, these beacons, and using the web technology and the physical web specifically is a way to sort of make this connection between your micro location and your internet-connected device. And so what that allows you to do is facilitate mobility in a much greater sense. So you can imagine it's not just about the departure times, but the beacon and the physical web can help you find the bus stop. And it can help you check the times when you get to the bus stop. And you're on the bus, and it can help you communicate with the driver or communicate with the agency if you've got a problem with the driver. And then you can also make sure that you get off at the right stop. So all of these kinds of location-based micro-interactions can be facilitated by these new technologies like beacons and the physical web. And I think the most important sort of bottom line is this. A lot of the time people think about, I want to have a really seamless step from A to B, and something's going to walk me through my whole trip, and it's going to be really simple and easy. But those plans, the best laid plans, don't always work out. And so you don't get the same robustness when you're dealing with a kind of a sort of something that's attempting to achieve an end-to-end trip, and whether that's a app ride or an autonomous vehicle from A to B or something else. We really have to think about whether those are going to function in the presence of all these different issues that people have been identifying, whether it's flooding on the streets or bad conditions. So you need to make a system, to engineer a system that's robust and that allow people to replan and to travel and to get around regardless of these kinds of circumstances. And so fundamentally, public information isn't just about mobility. It's about achieving, allowing people to participate in society regardless of who they are. And we're now seeing that there's a lot more information being digitized. So for instance, you go to a lot of restaurants and you'll see these digital menu boards, and you no longer have printed menus. Most of these digital menu boards, as a friend from IBM Accessibility likes to point out, are no longer accessible to blind people. And so that's really a missed opportunity. So we need to sort of start making and thinking in terms of all public information can and should be available to people regardless of their visual disability or other accessibility needs. And so my challenge to everyone here is to think in terms of what kinds of principles, what kind of universal principles can we apply that will make things easier for everyone, and find those technologies that function and serve the entire public. Thank you.